Broncos fans, I want to know what you think about today's performance. It's a loss, but Denver, I think, looks good in some areas and not so good in other areas. So while the intro video rolls, head on down to the comment section. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F, what you are grading Denver's performance in Week 16 against the Raiders. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown. I'm your host, Matthew Peterson. I wish I had a little more enthusiasm, but the Raiders beat the Broncos 17-13. We're going to dive into a full recap. We'll look at some of the news and rumors coming out of Denver after this loss. And if they got a chance of making the playoffs, it's not looking good, but we'll take a peek at the playoff picture towards the end of the video. But first, let's look over some numbers in this one. Raiders pull out a win, pick up a big first down the stretch to ice the game, 17-13 the final. Drew Lock makes his first start since Week 17 of last year. We'll look at his numbers a little closer in a moment, but first impressions for Lock out there. I thought Drew played better than A, what I expected, and I think B, what a lot of people were expecting out of him. When you're a backup quarterback and you go into a game and you don't turn the ball over, you could almost look at everything else and go, doesn't matter. At least he didn't turn the ball over, because that is step number one for a backup quarterback. Don't go in and just shoot the team in the foot immediately, and he didn't do that. The team shot itself in the foot in other directions, and a lot of it, I think, comes down to Pat Shurmur and a lack of a run game, and it's not all on Shurmur. You're missing your starting center, so that doesn't help things, but at the end of the day, you got to find a way to generate a run game when your backup quarterback is playing, and you couldn't do that. But speaking of Drew Lock, let's talk about him a little more here. Went 15 for 22, and I thought Lock was a little more accurate than what we've seen in the past. That was kind of his biggest issue, was accuracy, has the arm talent, not afraid to just gunsling it down the field, but it hooked up with Jerry Jeudy for a nice big reception, finds Courtland Sutton for a key reception down the stretch. Lock at times, I mean, if he doesn't get tripped up and taken down on that third down run in the fourth quarter, I would say we're having a different conversation. But Drew Lock absolutely played better than what I was expecting out of him. Sure, he didn't toss a touchdown, but he also didn't turn the ball over. So that's baby steps for little Drew, right? You got to start somewhere. But speaking of Drew Lock, what I want to know from you guys is here at the Broncos Breakdown, if you're new to the channel, we're an interactive channel. We go back and forth. So I want to know what you think. Should Denver stick with Lock for the rest of the season? Fangio said when Teddy's healthy, he's our starting quarterback. But after today, are you maybe tangoing with that idea? Let me know in the comment section. This will be the pinned comment. So if a YouTube ad break scrolls on by, drop your answer down below. Lock did not lose this game for the Broncos. If you look back and go, the reason Denver lost was because of Drew Lock, you didn't watch the game that closely. This team lost this game because couldn't find much of a run game, and this defense played great, no doubt about it, but it got gashed at unfortunate times on the ground. So those two things are just not complimentary football. But this defense, though, it played lights out in my opinion. They went to Vegas with a backup quarterback, and this is why I keep saying backup quarterback, because there has to be a sense of understanding on the field of, hey, we play defense, we can't control the offense, but we know we have to really bring it, because this offense has been playing on crutches lately. They've been dragging themselves. Aside from that Lions game, haven't really picked up much of a mojo. We've got to bring some extra swagger today, and they did that. I really do think they did. Sure, they gave up 342 yards, but you're playing one of the most explosive offenses, believe it or not, in the Raiders. I'm sure it doesn't really sound like it, but Derek Carr is pretty good chucking the football down the field this year. You only let up 182 rushing yards, and here passing yards, and yeah, you gave up a lot on the ground, but they kind of came in spurts. It wasn't this consistent theme all game long that Josh Jacobs was running over Denver. It just came at bad timings, and when they got a good run, it was a pretty decent run. But you forced 3 turnovers on this team, and you did your job on third down, I would say. But I want to talk about Bradley Chubb, because I haven't had that chance much. He came into the year hurt, got hurt in week 2 against the Jags in the first half, missed a huge chunk in the middle of the season, comes back about a month ago, doesn't do much, and finally, here's the first overall the first round pick we've been waiting for this season. Bradley Chubb, if you missed it, I tweeted it out. It's on my Twitter. Go follow me at Matthew Petey. But he makes a great play on the ball, gets a hand to it, bats it down to himself, carries it to the 1, and Javonte Williams punches it in for a 1-yard touchdown run to give the Broncos the lead. So we'll talk about more defensive studs in a moment, but if you are new to the channel, then help us subscribe. I want to get to 5,000 subscribers before the new year. I know it's a bit lofty, but we got 100 and change away, so hit that big red button, subscribe. We're putting out news and rumors content all year long. We're taking no days off. If you want Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers on this team, we'll be talking about that in the offseason, because this team will unfortunately start to look a little bit too far ahead if this season isn't sure done. But speaking of a trade, how about this trade? Jonas Griffith comes over from the 49ers at the beginning of the year. We've got a 49ers channel here at Chat Sports. I asked our guy, Chase Sr., what do you know about him? And he said, he's a really good special teamer. That's about it. We've gotten way more than special teams out of Jonas Griffith. Sure, he's got an opportunity with some injuries, but he's made the most of that opportunity. In fact, it's to the point that I actually wonder, what are the Broncos going to do when Johnson and Jewell return next year, and you've got Browning and Griffith and Kenny Young who are balling out in their spots right now? I think Johnson gets his spot back. Jewell, I wonder. I think it's going to be a very active competition in camp for those 2 starting inside linebacker spots. Maybe they try to make one of them a hybrid and kind of move them outside of defensive end, but this is going to be fun to see. Another name I haven't had much talk about this season, Shelby Harris. Shelby Harris came into this game with 2.5 sacks. He nearly matched that today. A sack and a half, comes up with a huge forced fumble on Derek Carr. Harris brought it today. I love the celebration. Tees it up and boom, knocks it out of the park. Harris was so much fun to watch today. This defense held the Raiders to 17 points. They did everything they really had to do to give this team a win, except for making a stop at the end of the game. Sure, you'd like to see them make a stop to get the ball back to the offense, put it in Drew Lock's hands, and see if he can drive down the field for a game-winning touchdown. But pick your battles. You can't get it all, I guess, sometimes. I wish I could say that. But what I want to know from you guys, though, is who was the best player on defense for the Broncos against the Raiders? Let me know what you're thinking. Was it CHUBB after that great INT? You could go Shelby Harris. Secondary didn't make too much noise, which I think is kind of a good thing. Secondary is quiet. Usually that means they're doing a pretty good job. You didn't see a big flash from Simmons or PS2, who, by the way, had the best cleats in the NFL today. No doubt about it. Tweeted that out, too. If you didn't see those, check that out. We also have great deals going on with our friends at Fanatics. Now listen, I know Christmas is over, but there's still stuff going on sale over there. You can get this awesome quarter zip. It is 50% off. That's $30 at chatsports.com/BroncosQZip. You can pull the old order it right now. It's on sale, and go, sorry, it just got lost in the mail, but here's your Christmas present. Give it a shot, okay? Worst case scenario, you just put it in the closet and you give it to someone next year, okay? But get this awesome Q-Zip right now at Fanatics when you go to chatsports.com/BroncosQZip. I've got that link in the comments and the description of this video. Going back to the offense, you didn't get much out of this. And this is where I talk about Vic Fangio, because Fangio's defense is banked up and it's still putting out great numbers. But at the end of the day, you're still getting losses. And I understand it's frustrating to see a Vic Fangio defense do great, and it's not like Denver is a 3-win team, right? They're right at 500, almost 7-8. But still, it's year 3, and you're just seeing a pattern that the defense brings it, but the offense comes up short. And how long do you want to go in circles until you realize the offense is just not going to find a way? And I get it. He's dealt with a lot of quarterbacks in his time in Denver, but it's tough to see. Jerry Jeudy, how about a shout out to this guy? Haven't seen much of him. Cortland's son, Tim Patrick, have kind of been squeezed into a bottle lately, but he goes off, gets his longest reception of the year, a 40-yard dot from Locke, 60 yards altogether. Wish I would have seen him made that big catch on third down, though, to keep the drive alive earlier in the game, but you can't get them all, I guess. Let's peek at the AFC playoff picture, see where things stand right now. Denver, there's the DEN. They are the last team alive, pretty much, 7-8. Even if they win out 9-8, I just don't see it getting it done. They don't have the tiebreaker over the Ravens, so you need the Ravens to lose out. And then you need a bunch of teams like, say, the Raiders, who you also don't have the tiebreaker over, to lose out. You don't have the tiebreaker over the Steelers. You don't have the tiebreaker over the Browns. I'm sorry, but it doesn't look like it's going to be in the cards for the Broncos to make the playoffs this year. So you're on to 2022 if you're a playoff chasing team. I'm not saying quit on this year. There's a lot of things I still want to watch and see play out, like this defense that's been sneaky good lately and starting to make some household names out of themselves at Mile High. So you're on to 2022 for Super Bowl aspirations, but we're not going anywhere. So make sure you stick around at the Broncos Breakdown. We'll put news and rumors content out all year long. So hit that big red button and subscribe if you have not already.